What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Flow State with yours truly, Harry Mack. We got a dope episode for y'all. I'm going to talk about overcoming my insecurities to collaborate more this year. We're going to talk about self-taught musicians finding their own voice. I'm going to talk about making beats, learning instruments. I'm going to react to a fan-submitted freestyle. I'm going to react to myself, the DC Prom Night freestyle, and we're going to close it out with some bars, man. Let's get it.
This is for my Flow State. Add it. Yeah. Y'all know we back at it. Ain't it crazy how the mind works magic? We gon' show you the method behind the madness, 'cause this is for my Flow State.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Flow State Podcast with yours truly, Harry Mack. Very excited to be here with you all today. We got my man Sam positioned in the Flow Station. What's going on, Sam?
What up, Mac? How we doing?
No complaints, man. You know, chilling. Same
Nice.
old thing. How about you?
Chilling as well, dude. Happy to be back in the stew, doing
Yes.
another one of these, man. It's been fun.
Super fun, man. Super fun. Happy to have you here. My man Iconic is in the mix as well. No mic. You might have heard that on the ambient mic sources. But no, very, very excited to be here with you all. Happy to be doing another solo episode. And I've really been enjoying these, you know. I love the guest episodes because I get to pick people's brains and, you know, get a lot of gems for myself personally and be able to share those with the audience. But also really dig the solo episodes just as an opportunity for me to open up and speak on things that, you know, don't come out as often necessarily in the freestyle. So just another way to communicate, and that's really what I'm all about. So thank y'all for tapping in. Shout out to everybody that's been supporting the podcast so far. Shout out to everybody that's been supporting the music releases we've been doing, the videos on YouTube, you know, the daily posts on social media as well. Thank you to everybody who's following and subscribing and, you know, staying attuned to everything that we're doing over here. The whole team is working really, really hard. So we appreciate you all. Today, there's something I wanted to talk about, which is my desire to do more collaboration creatively and musically. And this is something that I feel is really, really important for my growth. And I've been thinking a lot, you know, about the fact that my music and creativity has mainly been a solo endeavor for, you know, the last however many years it's been that I've been doing this since you know, 2017, I guess. So what? How long is that? It's 2024. 7 years.
7 years, yeah.
Wow.
7
years since I was introduced to the internet. Pretty crazy. And for most of that time, yeah, like my music and my creation has mostly been a solo endeavor. I haven't done a whole lot of collaboration. Obviously, we collaborate with producers, you know, like when we're doing Omegle bars or Guerrilla bars. I didn't make those beats. There was a time where I did make a lot of the beats, but for the past few years, you know, we've been sourcing beats from producers on YouTube and have, you know, formed relationships with some of them. And so that's been really cool. So there's a level of collaboration that has happened. But in general, you know, I haven't worked with a lot of other rappers. I haven't worked with a lot of other singers. I haven't really gone in deep with a lot of producers in terms of like linking up in person or, you know, getting a lot of reps in consistently week after week, building with the same producer and collaborating in that way. And it's kind of funny because when I think back to like my origins in hip hop, back when I was, you know, 10, 11, 12 years old, just getting started, and then all the way through middle school and high school, it was always collaborative because I was always part of a group. It wasn't about Harry Mack, or at that time, MC Wonder, if you know, you know. But yeah, it wasn't about me. It was about the group, which was State of Mind. So, you know, I think part of the challenge and part of the reason I kind of disappeared after I went to college and wasn't really putting myself out there as a rapper is because I wasn't as comfortable being a solo artist because I was so used to being a member of a group. But what ended up happening, and as I've talked about, you know, in previous episodes of this podcast, is as I worked to sort of overcome my limiting self-beliefs and overcome my fears, a big component of that was me saying, I'm going to do this, you know, for me. Like, I'm going to take this on. I'm going to meet this challenge head on. No more excuses, no more bullshit, no more fear. And when I say no more fear, I just mean, yes, all the fear, and I'm going to go forward anyway, right? The fear is always there, but it's about pushing through it. It's not about getting rid of fear. But, you know, that was a big component, was me like owning it for myself and being like, I'm going to figure out how to do this and I'm going to do whatever it takes. And so it became a solo thing and it became kind of a self-empowerment thing. in a healthy way, I think, and in a really important way. It was like, I'm going to do everything that I have to do to blossom as a creator and to put myself out there and to try to, actually rise to the level of my potential and push myself. And I do think there's a lot of value that comes from going through sort of like a lonely season like that, where you're like putting it all on your back and you're taking it on. At least for me, I think that was a really important phase. And it was like, I was figuring it all out. And it felt like, nobody's going to care about this as much as me. And that was definitely true then because, I didn't have anything yet. Like I hadn't established anything really for myself yet. So it was like, I have to figure out how I'm going to get these videos filmed. I have to edit these videos myself. I have to figure out how to make a thumbnail and, using different little like design apps on my phone to like overlay text over a thumbnail. And, I'm going to write this description. I'm going to do every single piece of what it took to like get my art out there. I was taking that on myself. And that was a lot of work, and I learned so much from that process, and I really grew a lot through that process, and it became sort of like a comfortable space for me in a strange way to sort of like just do everything myself. But I think what's interesting is it goes from this thing that you're doing out of necessity, like you have to do everything by yourself because, you don't have anything yet, right? So like to get your foot in the door, like to make your first statement, you have to own that, right? There's that element of that. It shifts from being this thing that you're doing out of necessity to then being this comfort zone, like now I'm comfortable creating by myself and sort of taking it all on myself. And what I have to realize also about myself and what I've been coming to realize more and more is that I have a certain fear around collaborating with other people. I have insecurities around collaborating with other people. And it's funny to say this because, I'm the guy that goes out there on the street and approaches strangers and asks them to throw me words for a freestyle, which feels like a very crazy extroverted thing to do. But in reality, I think I'm more of an introvert than an extrovert without, really being an expert on the science behind those sort of classifications. But I am somebody who enjoys spending time alone. I am somebody who enjoys reading. I do, like I said, I enjoy creating sort of in a solo space. I've never really liked writing my rhymes in a room with other people like around. I've always been like, let me get to where I'm by myself and then I'll write my rhymes. So, I'm sort of introverted, and there's always been this sort of, I think, insecurity around collaborating with other people. And I'm realizing that I think a lot of that comes to the fact that when I'm just creating solo by myself, whether the art is successful or a total failure, it's all on me. And I really like that. It's really comforting to know that even if whatever I put out, it just totally tanks and nobody likes it, it's fine because I only have myself to hold accountable for that, and nobody else has to suffer from that in any way except for me. And so that feels comforting. And it's funny to think that I think a lot of my insecurities around collaborating with other people have been based around this idea that I don't want to let the team down. And I think back to when I was a kid, I never had a natural talent for sports. I did sports because all the other, a lot of my friends did it. And, it's just something you get signed up for to do as a kid. But it was always forced for me. I didn't have that natural spark for it. I'm sure I could have practiced really hard and made it the priority and gotten somewhat better at it, but it didn't come naturally to me like it did for a lot of other kids. And, I was always afraid of the ball, like playing soccer as a kid or playing basketball, not because I was actually afraid of the ball, obviously, but because I was afraid of not being able to make the play. I was afraid of letting the team down. I didn't want to have the power because if I had the ball and I had the power to make the play, I also had the power to, figuratively speaking, drop the ball, right? And so I didn't want to have that responsibility because for me, not being naturally talented as an athlete, it felt much more likely that I was going to drop the ball than actually make the play, right? And so there was this sort of anxiety around letting other people down. When I discovered music and when I started playing the violin when I was 7, I was like, this is amazing because it's just me against me. There's nobody that I can let down other than myself. It's like either I practice and get better at the violin or I don't. And I don't improve, and nobody else has to suffer because of that. I mean, of course, eventually, like, my dad would have been like, I'm not going to pay for these lessons anymore. But there's no team to let down. It was like a solo endeavor. And so I feel similarly now in the space that I find myself in as a creator, where I've gotten so comfortable just owning all of the accountability for everything that I make. You know, like I say, if it's good or bad, it's all on me. The wins, the losses, like, I can own them. And I'm very comfortable owning my own losses because I know that that's just like necessary for me to figure out how to get better and to grow and to improve. And I'm comfortable with that for myself. But it's like when I'm bringing other people in, then it's like, oh no, like, what if I do something that they don't think is dope? Or what if we make something and it doesn't do well and people don't get it? And then, you know, we have to sort of like share in that loss together. I'm starting to realize that I think that's a piece of this. And I'm also realizing that I think for me to break through to the next level, collaboration is going to be a huge, huge part of it. And so this is just another one of those sort of like growth opportunities for me and things that I'm seeing for myself, where it's like, this is what it's going to take for me to get better, is to, push past some of these insecurities and face some of these fears head on and start reaching out to more people and bringing more people into my creativity and my art. And, you know, as I say that now aloud and sort of commit to that here on this podcast and put it out there in the universe so that I can hopefully hold myself more accountable, it does feel really, really exciting. You know, at the same time that I'm like, oh, this is a little scary, it's also really, really exciting. And I think once I get back into collaborating with other people, it'll be like, oh, this is amazing. This is like the State of Mind days. It's such a beautiful thing to be able to work in that capacity. I think for me, I'm just slower to open up to that comfort level with other people. And so I'm excited to face that. But I wanted to start the pod talking about that just to put it out in the open. And, like I say, like once I start talking about it out loud, it starts to become more real. So maybe some people watching can relate to that. But really, really stoked to be here with you all. And very excited to be able to answer some questions from our audience. So shout out to everybody that's been submitting their questions. HarryMackOfficial.com/FlowStatePod. We want to hear from you guys. Send more questions, man. You guys have been sending incredible questions. HarryMackOfficial.com/FlowStatePod. Send them in. If you want to record a voice memo and send an MP3, do that. We would love that. Or if you just want to type it out, that's fantastic too, man. But definitely keep on reaching out and hitting us with your questions. We're going to answer some of those right about now. Okay, dope. So first question is coming from, is this Nazari? Nazari? Cool. We'll go with that, and please correct me in the comments if I'm mispronouncing your name. The question is how to not worry that you might be copying someone. Great question. Especially when you try to come up with your own style, flow pattern, something that has never been introduced before. And what if something already exists? Is there any chance to bring something new to the table? Because I feel like there's lesser and lesser places to go that someone, rappers essentially, never been to. Do you find yourself struggling with this dilemma? How do we navigate through the fear of potentially copying someone? Wow. I'm going to sip my water real quick. This is a great question. So how to not copy someone. So the thing is, in the beginning, like if you're just getting started, you are probably going to have to imitate your heroes. That's like a very natural starting point for almost everyone, whether they're learning an instrument or learning how to rap or learning how to paint, and in some ways that's just sort of like how it works, I don't think anyone could just start in a total vacuum, because styles of music are like languages, right? Like jazz is a language and it has a specific vocabulary. And that specific vocabulary is what makes it jazz. We wouldn't be able to identify it as jazz if not for the specific nuances that make it jazz, like the swing ride pattern, dang, 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 dang. For example, the walking bass line, boom, 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 boom. Instrumental improvisation, all the things that make jazz what it is, the standard repertoire. That's the vocabulary. That's how we're able to identify it. And like R&B, has its own specific vocabulary that's distinctly different from jazz. There's lots of overlap, but it has its own distinct vocabulary. Same thing for rock and roll, same thing for classical music, same thing for hip hop. So you wouldn't know what hip hop or rap even is without being exposed to other rappers, right? Like that's how you even know what rap is like you hear somebody rapping, you're like, what's that? That's awesome. I want to try to do that. Right? So it's like me and my friends in 6th grade after school watching 106 in Park, Freestyle Friday, and Jin does this crazy freestyle, and we're like, what the hell is that? That's incredible. We want to try it. So at that moment, it's like Jin is one of my only reference points for what rap even is, you know? Just as an example, and I was hearing other stuff on the radio, I'm sure, but like I didn't have a wide range, a deep knowledge of hip hop at that point. I was like just getting exposed to it. So when you're just getting exposed to something, whatever it is that you're hearing at that moment is going to be like your biggest influence. And so when you first attempt to do it yourself, you're pulling from what you heard or what you saw from those early influences. Like personally, I think that's okay. I think it's sort of like unavoidable. You know, in the beginning, you're going to sound like your heroes. And then I think what happens is as you go deeper and deeper into hip hop and rap and learn about more and more different rappers and artists, you start to absorb through osmosis different parts of what different people do, you know? So you might check out Slick Rick and get really into, like the narrative storytelling element of rapping, you know? And then that becomes something that you start experimenting with yourself. Or then you listen to Nas and you become obsessed with the way that he can paint imagery, you know? And so then that becomes a piece of what you do. Or you listen to Lil Wayne and you love the punchlines and the word flips, you know, and like the crazy wordplay that he does. And so you start really ingesting a lot of that. You know, you're listening to it all the time. You're thinking about how it's constructed. And that sort of becomes a part of your vocabulary. And eventually, you know, you've absorbed so much information from so many different rappers that through all of that, your own unique voice starts to emerge. But I don't think you can really rush that process. You know, I think like first you imitate what you're aware of. Then you imitate a wider range of things. And then over time, your own voice sort of starts to emerge. But it has to happen organically. And, it's, again, I think of these styles of music like languages. And I feel like, how do you learn to talk? You just listen to adults that already know how to talk, and you just take bits and pieces of what they say and start using them. You know, like when a baby says like, "Mom, I'm hungry," it only knows to say that because it's heard other adults say, like it's heard mom be called mom, you know? So it's like, oh, that's mom. And then it's heard somebody say, "I'm hungry," when they want food. And it's like you mash those pieces together and now the baby can say, "Mom, I'm hungry." And as adults, you know, like if I meet somebody for the first time, "Oh, hey, how's it going? Nice to meet you." Like that's been said a million times. That's not like some new original, you know, I don't try to come up with a new way, like try to reinvent the wheel and be like, "Greetings to you. It is fantastic to make your acquaintance in this moment in time." Like that, I mean, like that would just be crazy and it would just get in the way of communicating. So, you know, when you think about it like a language, it's like you have to learn some words, you have to learn some phrases. And the only way you're going to be able to learn those words and phrases and how you can put them together is by listening and absorbing what other people have done. I will say, like, in terms of like copying, you would never want to like use somebody else's bar verbatim, like in your rap, you know? I think it's so that just comes down to deconstructing what somebody does. Like, when you hear, trying to think of like an example of a line that somebody says that's so like well known. Well, like I don't know. So I really like this like Nas line from Illmatic where he says, "I switched my motto. Instead of saying fuck tomorrow, that buck that bought a bottle could have struck the lotto." Such a dope line. Like to go from cynicism to optimism, you know. And there's so much that you can take from that. You wouldn't want to say that line in your verse, obviously. That would just be straight up biting. And obviously that's not cool. But what can we extract from it? Like I hear there's this like multi-syllabic thing happening. You know, buck that bought a bottle, like fuck tomorrow. Buck that bought a bottle, struck the lotto. So you hear how he's lining up. It's not just rhyming with bottle, but it's rhyming with struck, as well. And so you can extract, okay, that's multisyllabic rhyming. How would I do that on my own? Instead of rhyming own with microphone, you could rhyme hypertone with microphone. And so you start taking these pieces and reverse engineering them and hearing how you can use them to speak your own language. Another piece of that you could extract is buck that bought a bottle. That's such a dope alliteration. That buck that bought a bottle, where it's that B sound hitting. So you could be like, oh, what's my alliteration of the same sort of sound hitting? Maybe I use a different letter like P. Powerful punchlines, penetrate and push. So you're not using his lyrics, but you're reverse engineering what makes his lyrics dope and then applying your own thing to it.
This is why I think it's such a cool question to be answered by artists. I love when they're asked who their influences are, because as soon as it's laid out, a lot of times you can slowly pick from each of those influences, how that plays into their style. So it's almost like someone's style is just a representation of their general tastes. And then it all has come together to create this new thing.
100%. Yeah. And I would say too, adding on to that, because this person is asking, is there any chance to bring something new to the table? To that piece of the question, absolutely, and on through infinity. There will always be an opportunity to bring something new to the table because you're the only you in existence. And it seems obvious, or maybe it sounds cliche, but it's also very true. And, your voice is unique. Literally, the timbre of your voice is unique. There's never been another voice box exactly like yours. And that's a physical thing. So you could try to imitate another rapper's voice, and that's fine. But the thing is, your own voice is actually already unique. And also your ideas and the way you see things, the filter that you see the world through, your own paradigms are uniquely you. So that's why it's once you start reverse engineering the techniques that some of your favorite rappers use, you just have to put your own stuff into them, and it will inherently be completely unique to you. I like hip hop. Clearly, you like hip hop. So we have that in common. But then I'm sure there's something you like that I don't like. Maybe you really like escargot or something. I've never even tried it because it sounds disgusting. I can't imagine eating a snail. But you might love it. You know what I mean? So that combination of things, hip hop and escargot versus hip hop and, whatever, I like pizza. So we're all unique in that sense. And I think there's always something new to bring to the table.
How conscious of this are you while creating? This top question here.
Yeah.
Is it something that you worry about while creating, or is it not even front of mind really?
No, I don't worry about it because I'm never thinking about another rapper when I'm writing my bars or freestyling or whatever it is that I'm doing. I'm not consciously oh, I'm going to do a Big L thing here. And then, oh, I'm going to go into a Nas thing here. To me, it's just all bouncing around in my head somewhere. Everything that I ever got really into, there was a long phase where I was just really into Atmosphere, A$AP Rock, Mr. Lift, all this indie rap. For years, that was most of what I listened to. And that's all in there too. And it's funny too, because I'll put music out and somebody will be like, this has a really strong Atmosphere vibe. And I'm like, that's crazy, because I haven't listened to Atmosphere as intensely as I did back in middle school and high school in years. But it's all in there, So it's I don't worry about it. There is the whole thing of you sometimes come up with you might come up with a word flip or a metaphor or a punchline. And when you come up with it, you're oh, it's really good. And so and I bet I'm not the first one to think of it.
It's parallel thinking, right?
Yeah. It feels oh, this is kind of when you find it, it makes so much sense that you're it wouldn't surprise me if this has already been considered before and probably recorded and exists in a song. And sometimes there will be occasionally I'll come up with a line and then I'm this sounds like something I've heard. And every once in a while I'll pull up Genius and you can type a lyric in and it'll search by lyric. I'll just do a little rough oh, did it is this something I've heard? And usually I can't end up finding anything that I would have heard that is that exact line. But I mean, even that, you're limited in it'll probably happen accidentally, right? It does happen accidentally. Somebody could play something and be yo, when you said this line, were you referencing this? And I'd be no, I never even heard that. But yeah, we came up with the same thing. You're limited in how many words rhyme, period, in a way, in terms of just perfect one syllable rhymes. There's a limit there. And once it gets multisyllabic, it's nearly infinite. It just widens up to this insane level. But even still, there are certain choices that emerge that make a lot of sense and make more sense than others and automatically filter other choices out. So like at the end of the day, it's kind of like there's only, 12 tones in the chromatic scale on the piano, and all Western music is composed from various combinations of those 12 tones. So like it's all kind of been said before, but at the same time, it's constantly being reworked and reimagined and remixed and filtered through somebody's own personality. So yeah, I don't really worry about it. And if you're just starting out, I would worry about it even less because you're just starting out. So you have to, you have to base what you're doing off of your frame of reference. Yeah. Fantastic question, though. Really dope discussion for all artists and creators, I think. All right, sick. What do we got? From Riley. How would someone who didn't take any music classes in college/high school get into making beats/music? Should they start with learning an instrument like the piano or go for whatever they have huge interest in, like the drums or guitar? Yeah, I mean, excuse me. First of all, you don't have to have taken any music classes in college or high school to get into making beats or music. And there are countless examples of musical giants, many of whom may be your heroes, that didn't study music like in a school situation. So you don't need that at all, and especially not in the current world, like with YouTube. There's so much great information available online. So you can really like, if you're self-taught nowadays, it's like the amount of information that's out there is just insane. It's really awesome. So you can basically like take lessons, self-led, just by following certain accounts on YouTube and learning that way. So totally cool to be self-taught, and many of the best musicians in the world are self-taught. Oh, this is dope. We have a Google search of
it's musicians that didn't study music, and it's got Eric Clapton, Hendrix, Jack White, Dave Grohl, Prince. Yeah,
hell
the
yeah.
Beatles.
The Beatles, for example. Yeah, dude. And that's sick too, like to think about the Beatles and all of these artists. But it goes back to the previous question too. If you listen to the Beatles' first songs, they were just making like 3-chord rock and roll songs. And it didn't sound different from music that had already been made really at all. They were just like, this is rock and roll, straight up rock and roll, like in the style of the genre. They were basically just following the blueprint because they were just starting out. And so they just learned how to play the 3-chord rock and roll songs and they did their own version of it. And I think that's worth mentioning because now every single like band has been influenced by the sound, and every single songwriter essentially has been influenced by the sound that was created by the Beatles. But that wasn't what happened at first. And you can really watch their journey. Like in the beginning, their songs were very simple and they became more and more adventurous over time as they got better. Like they gained new skills. They would literally like learn about a new chord and be like, oh, throw that one in there. And you can just watch that progression. And then by the end, they were like very advanced songwriters and their bag of tricks was huge. And so they had everything at their disposal and they could just pick and choose from all the colors. But in the beginning, their palette was just completely based on a pre-existing palette. But yeah, that's really inspiring to see that list. Prince, fully self-taught. Woo! So sick on like every instrument. So yeah. You are not at all at a disadvantage by not learning in college and high school. And in some ways, you might be at an advantage because you can go at your own pace and you can really focus on the things that are of interest to you. Which brings me to the next part of your question, which should you start with learning an instrument like the piano or go for whatever you have a huge interest in, like the drums or guitar? I mean, I would say just definitely go with whatever you have a huge interest in. I wouldn't learn the piano, for example. Like a lot of people will say, well, the piano is the best instrument for composers. And like, I get that. There's the reason they say that is because the way the piano is laid out is very visual and it's very logical. And it's basically the whole orchestra, basically every instrument is accessible in terms of like from the lowest instruments to the highest instruments. And it's laid out in this very symmetrical, logical, visual way. So you can really see like how the chords are constructed, how the scales are constructed. And that's great and all, but if you're not interested in learning piano, don't do it. And you don't have to do that. You don't have to learn the piano to be a great composer or songwriter. And especially because you're talking about making beats, you don't even have to learn an instrument necessarily to get started making beats. I mean, it's going to help you a lot for sure, but I
I had to start with piano. They started me there.
Yeah.
Because like, and then it was told to me like this teaches you the fundamentals of like sheet music too, which
Yeah.
can go into anything. But like if you're looking at guitar tabs, I mean that really doesn't. The piano didn't really help that much with that at all.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I just think it really depends on what your goal is, you know, because knowing how to read sheet music, for example, is valuable if you're going to need to read sheet music at some point for your like passion or profession, you know? So if you want to be like a studio musician that plays on film scores, or like if you want to play in an orchestra, or if you want to be, you know, somebody like that, then yeah, you're going to have to know how to read sheet music. But if you want to be Pharrell or like, you know, like Beyonce doesn't have to read sheet music. She may or may not be able to. I really don't know. But she doesn't have to, you know. A lot of our favorite artists like don't have to know how to do that because there's just no sheet music involved. Like if you're in a band and you're making songs in the studio, there's probably not any sheet music involved. So it just depends on like what your goal is and what you're trying to make. And my thing too, like nowadays is I'm just like, go straight to the thing that is exciting to you, because like that's what's going to keep you involved and keep you engaged and make it fun, and that's how you're going to be able to stick with it, and that's what's going to make it rewarding, you know? Like if you want to make trap bangers, I would never say like, yeah, well first go take classical piano lessons for 5 years, then make trap bangers. It's like, why? Just download Fruity Loops and start making trap bangers, you know, and you'll figure out how to do that. And then if at some point on your journey, you're like, man, I'm really I'm hitting a wall because I don't know enough music theory. Okay. So now you have a reason to consider, well, maybe I should take some piano lessons just so I can learn a little bit more about music theory. But you're doing it because it supports this thing that you're already really excited about and that you've already got some momentum built up doing. And now it's just something that's going to enhance your ability to do what it is that you really want to be doing. But so often I feel like the traditional way of teaching music just like prevents people from ever getting excited. It's like, oh, okay, well, you want to learn how to play the drums because you like Led Zeppelin? Cool. Like John Bonham, that's great. But first, we're going to spend the first year just talking about how to hold the sticks in traditional grip, and you know we're going to learn every rudiment starting with the paradiddle, and we're going to do it all with the metronome. And it's like at a certain point the kid's like, dude, this is whack. Like this isn't the energy that I saw when I saw John Bonham. Like when do we get to go like, you know, when does that happen? And so I'm like, the sooner you can do that, and yes, you know, you have to learn how to hold the sticks like you do. Yes, there are certain like technical things that you have to hit, but the faster you can get like directly at what it is that you're really trying to do, the better. And then the technical like barriers will reveal themselves to you. At one point or another, everybody hits a technical barrier where it's like, damn, I really want to do this thing, and I really just can't do it because I lack this piece. And then you'll know. And then it's like, okay, well, that's great. Now a light is shown on the piece that you're missing, and you can decide if you want to go learn the piano or learn the guitar or learn how to play some basic drum grooves to get more coordination or whatever it is. But it's feeding the thing that initially got you excited about music, which I think is so important.
It's way more entertaining to learn something when you know the reason why. Like if you ran into that technical wall and you have to go learn it, it's way easier to go learn that knowing what your goal with it is. You know?
Totally. Yeah, dude. And that's the other thing too, is like, it's not like the teacher that's telling you got to learn all these rudiments is wrong. Like usually they're right, but you just don't know why. So you don't care about it yet, you know? And my thing is just like, you could just do it in the reverse order. Like as soon as it's like, I want to play this beat, like cool, but you have to be able to play 16th notes with one hand at this speed. And you're like, damn, I'm not even close. That seems impossible. How would I do that? Then it's like, well, there's this thing called push-pull, and we're going to start learning it slow on a drum pad so that you can play this one groove, you know? That makes so much more sense to me rather than like, why do I have to do all these things? Like, when does it really like happen? When do I actually do the thing that I wanted to do? So
I wonder if some of these artists that we pulled up earlier would just have like failed those music classes because they're like, nah, this isn't like, I'm flipping this upside down. Like Prince in trying to get taught like the normal way.
Yeah.
I don't know if that really meshes, you know?
For sure.
It's not the same path for everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hell yeah. Love it. Great question. Okay, another question from Jedi. Shout out to the Jedi Master coming through. Yoda in this piece. And if that's your real name, that's awesome. And if you are a real Jedi, that's also awesome. All right. How do you keep your energy flowing when people in public are closed off during your freestyles? Oh, man. Yeah. It's tough, honestly. Like if people are fully closed off, it's a tough one, man. But I think it just, what is that thing? I recently read Atomic Habits, and there's this like the big quotable from the book. You've read Atomic Habits, right, Sam?
I have, yeah.
Con, have you read that book?
Which quote are you thinking
But you
about?
might know the quote still, because it's like where he says like, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your habits. I think that's what it is.
I'm going to look it up.
We'll fact check that.
It's a great book, though. Yeah, I've got part of it here. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems.
Okay, dope. You fall to the level of your systems.
Yeah.
In a weird way, that relates to what happens when I'm freestyling in public and people are closed off. So it's like, what I do is very energy dependent. There's no two ways around it. It's an energy exchange. We called the first tour the energy exchange because that's what it is. It's like I am reacting to and responding to the energy that is being directed toward me from the audience. And usually it's like I got to warm it up. Like I'll start with my freestyle. And then hopefully I ignite some excitement in people. And then they give that excitement to me, and I'm able to grab that and build with it, right? And I've talked about this a lot. It creates this like awesome feedback loop of energy that can build into this incredible moment. And that's why I love freestyling so much. It's not about me. It's about everybody in the area, right? Everybody is involved in the creative process. It's a collaborative thing. So if somebody is like totally closed off to it because they're having a bad day or they just don't like it, or they've decided that, it's not going to happen for them right then and there, or perhaps I'm just misreading it. Maybe they love it and they just show it in a different way than I'm used to, right? There's so many possibilities, but if it seems like the crowd is dead, it is hard for me to really like rise up to the level that I hope to hit every time I freestyle. And so in those cases, I don't rise to my goal. I fall to my system. Or in the case of this, it's like I fall to my training. Like I fall to the level of my practice, basically. So the way that I'm able to keep the energy flowing, it's basically like I can freestyle like at 3 a.m, if you woke me up out of bed and I was in a horrible mood and you were like, freestyle, you have to. And for some reason I believed you, I could do it. I could freestyle after I got in a fight with somebody I love and I felt really shitty about myself and my life. I could still do a freestyle, I could freestyle in any environment. Why? Because I've freestyled for so many hours. Like the level of reps is unfathomable to me even. So it's like when you've trained that hard, it doesn't really matter what like the situation is or the external stuff couldn't prevent me from actually like coming up with the next line. As long as like I couldn't do a freestyle if you duct tape my mouth or anything like that. But outside of that, like I'll be able to do it. So you kind of just fall to that professional level. There's this other thing too that relates to this, which is one of the like seminal jazz recordings. Probably the most important jazz recording is Kinda Blue by Miles Davis. If you only listen to one album ever, it would be that. That's the most famous one. And there's this the pianist on that record is named Bill Evans for most of it, except for on one track it's somebody else. But Bill Evans talked about that recording. I think he was talking about that recording session, and he was like, somebody asked him like in an interview, how come that session was so like epic? Like, how come you guys were able to get this thing that was like so incredible in that particular session, even though like you do this all the time, you play hundreds of gigs a year, you do like hundreds of recording sessions, like, even that same group of musicians made other recordings, right? So why was this one so unique and so special? And he was just like, like you always aim for that level of that really special thing, but you can't really control it. You never actually know when that's going to happen. There's so many factors, and everybody has to sort of be in that zone collectively on the same day. It's kind of like the stars have to align, you know? Who knows how it happens, you know? So the bass player ate the right thing for breakfast, and Miles Davis was in a really good mood because of XYZ, and everything was just, everybody got enough sleep. Who knows, right? But for whatever reason, it came together on that day, and they were all so great at what they do that they were able to meet that occasion there and rise to that level. But as he explains, it's like even on your worst day, you just fall to a level that is still high. You just still fall to a professional level. Like that's what being a professional musician is that no matter what, even if you're not inspired, even if the audience isn't giving you energy, you've trained enough to have this like baseline level that is still high and still good. And you wouldn't ever want anybody to leave your gig being like, man, they were off. You know, people wouldn't notice. They will notice when it's that crazy next level, you know, everybody will be that much more elevated. But that's my answer to this question is when people aren't really giving me the energy, then I just have to do what I've been training this whole time and keep the bars coming.
And you do your best to like avoid that scenario. Like for example, like you know, like shooting Guerrilla bars, you know, we're trying to have everyone enjoy this, right? So we select groups that we think will, and we avoid, like, you know, you're not just rapping at someone who's closed off, ideally, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and if somebody's really having a bad time and it seems like my rap is contributing to that, then I will just stop and be like, yo, it's all good. Like, I can't really think of that. That's happened pretty rarely. More often, it's like I'll approach somebody and I can tell by what they're saying back to me that it's not like a good energy match. And then it's like, yo, no worries. Actually, we'll keep it moving.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely when we're out in public, if you're involving other people in what you do, you have to be super respectful. I really believe that. You have to put that at the forefront is like, respect other people, you know, when you're out there and, you know, we never have like I'm actually proud of the way we operate out there as a team is because it's like, we never have like a jaded vibe or like, oh, you don't want to hear it. Oh, you're missing out. Like I don't even feel that way.
No, not at all.
I'm just like, oh, like, yeah, like I'm asking a lot, you know, so it makes sense. Keep it moving.
Sure.
Dope. So let's see. We'll take one more question maybe and then carry it along. Let's see what we got from Matt. What catches your ear when hearing a beat to freestyle or rap or written to? Yeah, to do a freestyle or do a written to. And do you make any of your own beats? If so, what part of the beat making process do you enjoy the most? Good question. What catches my ear? I mean, I like so many different types of beats and I actually just really like variety. You know, that's why I like to freestyle. It's like it's different every time. So I like rapping on boom bap beats. I like rapping on trap beats. I like rapping on other types of beats, like 4 on the floor, more like dancey feeling kind of beats. Any kind of beat, you know. I also enjoy the challenge of somebody being like, yo, could anybody ever freestyle over this? I'm like, definitely. Like whatever it is, yeah, definitely. Somebody could do it, you know, and I want to try. So yeah, but I guess on a day-to-day, like when I'm sitting down to either record and try to write something or make something in the studio, I think it's just a feel thing. I'll just play a few different beats and on a certain day, something might not grab me. And then like if I had heard that same beat a week later, maybe it would. You know, so I think it has a lot to do with how I'm feeling on a particular day. Like if I feel like doing something more introspective and personal, then there's going to be a certain vibe of a beat that will bring that out. So that would probably be more like something with more organic instrument sounds, you know, like maybe it's acoustic piano or Fender Rhodes, you know, maybe it's like an electric bass feel as opposed to like an 808, right? The drums feel organic, even if they're programmed, they have something where it's like, oh yeah, like you could play that on a drum set, you know, they're programmed in a way to sound like a drummer played them. To me, that matches up well with like something poetic and introspective and meaningful and personal. And then if I was like, yo, I just want to like flex and go hard and do some crazy bars and stuff like that, then maybe that could enter into territory where it's a little bit more abrasive and aggressive and less based on organic sounds, more of like a modern kind of thing, 808 bass line. You know, like we could have trap hi-hats and hi-hat rolls and things that a drummer would never play. And it's not meant to sound like something that a band would play. It's just meant to sound like a banger, right? And everything in between. So that's like a couple examples of things that'll catch me. But yeah, I run the gamut, you know, because I could say, oh, I like beats with lots of layers and intricacies, which is true. Like that's why I like Dilla so much. Love Dilla. But then sometimes I'm like, yeah, but I also just like that stripped down raw funk, you know, with almost nothing, drums and bass, and the bars are going to be what makes it interesting. So yeah, man, I'm like wide open, and that on a certain day something will grab me, and I just kind of go with that. And then in terms of me making my own beats, yeah, I do. Not as much nowadays. I have started playing my drums a lot more recently, which is cool. But in terms of actually just like producing full beats, I haven't done it in a while. I used to do it a lot more. Back in like 2016 era, 2015, 2016, I made a lot of beats. Like every day I made 1 or 2 beats at least. And I would stay up late doing it all the time. It was kind of like my main thing that I was working on and developing. And so I made this sort of big like cachet of beats, and then I would use those in my content when I started doing freestyles out in public. So yeah, I've made a lot of beats in my life, but it's not like my main focus right now. You asked what part of the beat making process do I enjoy the most? Well, I'm a drummer, so I really like anything related to drums, including programming drums. I mean, I really like the rhythmic elements. And I just like the magic of creating layers and building something from scratch. Like it's a really cool feeling, you know, to play some chords in and you just have that. And then you add some drums to it and now it's more full. And then you add bass to it and step by step it becomes more full. Like when you watch a loop pedal musician, you know, or a looper or somebody like Mark Rebillet, you know, or Reggie Watts or any of these people who layer things on step by step. The magic of that happening in real time is similar to the magic you feel when you're cooking up a beat in the studio. So I do enjoy that part, but the part that I struggle with is like I'm not as masterful with the beat making nearly anywhere close as I am with freestyling. And so with making beats, for me, a lot of it is like I might spend like 3 or 4 hours working on this beat, and then afterwards I'm like, man, this isn't even dope. You know, so that part was always a struggle. Like I didn't get as flowy with it. Like I would get really into what I was doing sometimes, but I would really have to, you know, put a lot of effort and time in to sometimes just make a throwaway beat, which was a bit disheartening. But shout out to all the producers out there, man, who really dive in on that process and are able to achieve flow state doing that and push through the moments when it's difficult. Because just because you might spend hours making something you don't like doesn't mean it's not a worthy pursuit at all. In fact, it probably means it's a very worthy pursuit. And when you do get that beat that you love, it's such a great feeling. So shout out to all the producers. And thank you all. Shout out to everybody watching this and participating. Thank y'all so much for your questions. Once again, we want your questions. Send them in, typed up, recorded as an MP3, whatever, man. Get them to us. HarryMackOfficial.com/flowstatepod. Can't wait to hear from you. And speaking of, if you're a freestyler, an aspiring freestyler or rapper that sometimes freestyles, send me your freestyles. I've really enjoyed reacting to these freestyles sent in from the audience. It's been really, really fun. We've gotten some great submissions. And we have one here for you today that I'm going to react to from, I believe, Giuliano. So hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Shout out to Giuliano. This is a freestyle. And is this, Sam, is this a message that was sent with the freestyle here?
Yeah, exactly. This is what he sent with the link.
Dope.
I thought it was kind of cool.
What's the pinnacle of the success of humanity? In my opinion, it's peace. Hard to argue with that. I dig it, bro.
It's a hell of an intro.
Hell yeah. All right, let's hear it.
All right, let's get it.
At 2%. I can't find a charger, so I have to be quick with this shit. Hopefully it saves to my phone after it dies. I'm recording off of that, so I gotta make this shit quick, dude. Yeah, I wanna follow myself into the pinnacle of dreams, the shit that I believe, the shit that I can see. I swear to God, we so stuck up in this bullshit. We selling our bodies for profit, man, that's bullshit. I wanna get the fuck about this 21st century and go back to when we could live free, man. I wanna go get some crops and I wanna go straight to the top. I swear, I lost my flow, but that's alright, cause I'm back and I'm better. The way that I've been rolling this is like a love letter. The way that I've been rolling this is like we need better. The way that people be walking and talking, swear to God, need to stop it. The way that you be diversion, the logic from the topic, I'm a white killer, white vanilla, Michael Jackson, make a thriller, pop up on your bitch, that's familiar. Alright.
All right, dope. Hey, he got it in before the phone died, man. 2% battery. Got it in. That's dope. Shout out to Giuliano. Thank you for sending that in. So yeah, with this, man, like what I enjoyed about the freestyle, especially the first half of it, was you clearly have something to say. Like you obviously think about things. I mean, and I could tell just based on the message you sent about like what's the pinnacle of the success of humanity. Like that's an important, question for anybody to ponder, on the philosophical tip. So the fact that you're thinking about those kinds of things is a really great sign. And I think a lot of the best like MCs that I'm a fan of have had thoughtful things to share through their music. So it's not just about them being dope rappers, but it's about them using those skills to share things that are interesting and impactful and poignant and meaningful. And I think that's why, that's one of the things that separates like the GOATs from just like the really good rappers. So I feel like you have the content. And what I'm seeing from this freestyle is I think you just, you got to put those reps in on the technical side. Like I think you just got to practice and build your technique up a little bit and just get more comfortable with your like rhyme vocabulary, like the rhyming sounds that you can easily access, right? There was a couplet in there where you were saying some really dope stuff about like your opinions about humanity, about how something, and that's bullshit. And then the next line was da 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 da, and that's bullshit, right? So in that case, what you were saying was cool, but the end rhyme was just the same word twice, which typically, there are no rules, but typically you would want to avoid that and say something different. So like once you put more reps in and practice, like what else rhymes with bullshit, hold it, full clip, et cetera, then, you can start to build up an inventory of options to use. So yeah, I think, like freestyle wise, you still got a lot of room to grow on the technical side, but the really awesome news for you is that as you start building that technique up and getting more comfortable and gain better control over more rhyming options, you'll have some really dope stuff to say. So, I think in many ways, it's more beneficial to be somebody with a lot that they want to share with the world that just doesn't have the technique yet than the opposite, like to be somebody with all the technique in the world but nothing to say. Because the thing is, you can always learn the technical aspects. All you have to do is practice. Like it's just hard work, but you could just do the work. Anybody can, everybody can do that if you're willing to. It's just like show up every day and practice and put the reps in even when it's boring. That's great. But if you have already done all that, but you're like, I don't have anything that I want to share with the world, that's more challenging. Then it's like, well, I don't know. You got to go take a year off, go travel the world, I don't know, get into a relationship and then get dumped, and then feel horrible for a few months. And then, go like, I don't know, like go work a job where you can barely pay your bills for a while and hardly make it and feel how hard that is. Go become an addict and then recover. Like obviously nobody should go become an addict, but, I'm just saying that it's very intangible, I think, in some ways, what would be required to come upon the message that you want to share with the world. I do believe that everybody has something unique to share with the world. So when I say, it would be less beneficial to have all the technique and nothing to say, I don't actually believe that anybody truly has nothing to say. But if they feel like they have nothing to say because they don't yet know how to access their stuff, that's a harder challenge to solve. So you in good shape, my dude. Thank you for sending this in. I'm excited to, hopefully in the future hear from you because like I said, you clearly have a lot to share with the world. So once you get your technique up, man, you're going to be able to get it out there.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
And real quick, I just wanted to mention this. This is the page that people can go to submit freestyles.
Yes.
We make it super easy. This is where you find all the different pod platforms, by the way. But you guys can just hop in here, and then we have a folder with the beats that you can use, and boom, you just submit it on that same form, and we'll check it out on the pod, hopefully. So get those frees in. This has been fun.
Hell yes. Easy as can be. I love it. Dope. All right, so I'm going to react to myself. It's very meta. This is a thing we do here on Flow State. And we got a good one for you guys. I'll be reacting to Prom Night in DC, Guerrilla Bars 25. This was shout out to Sam, by the way, in the Flow Station for pulling up some of these statistics here. So now I'm seeing, because I wouldn't have known this offhand, but this was recorded in April 2022.
I think we were on the Energy Exchange tour.
Yep.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Had a show in DC.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We did a dope show in DC, and some of Jazz's family came out, so that was fire. Yeah. But yeah, recorded at the end of April. This video has 2.6 million views on YouTube and more than 32 million views on TikTok. God damn. Yeah. This one went crazy on TikTok, which, by the way, is awesome because we knew that it would. And I put "new" in air quotes because you would never know. And usually when you think you know, you're wrong. You're like, this one's going to go crazy and nothing happens. Or you're like, this one, and it goes crazy. So it's like, what do I know? But this one, we looked at each other and we were like, yup, this is going to go crazy on TikTok. And we actually said TikTok specifically, and that did end up happening, which was very validating and just like kind of a cool little tidbit. But yeah, let's watch it.
Oh yeah, let's get it. It's one of my favorites.
Hey, yo, can I do a freestyle for you guys? Somebody,
all right, pause it right away. Sorry. So how did this happen? Here's how this happened. We were walking around DC doing Guerrilla bars. We're at the end of our day. We've got enough clips for 2 episodes easily. Really good stuff. It's the end of the day. We're tired. We've been doing it for a while, and then we just noticed this huge group of kids getting photographed for prom, and we were like, yo, it would be crazy to, like, should we do that? And every time it's like something like that, I'm always like, I don't know. Like, it seems a little nerve-wracking, But again, like, the common theme for me is like, whenever it feels that way, it's probably the best thing to do, like, to at least try. Because if you can pull off the kind of more reach thing, the thing that seems a little scarier or a little more obtrusive, it's going to be great content most of the time. So, we weren't sure. And then what happened was we were kind of standing on the outskirts, and a couple of the kids in this group recognized me from TikTok and started like pointing over like, yo, that's the dude from TikTok, freestyle dude from TikTok, da-da-da-da-da. And then the person who was photographing them, which I always just said was one of their moms, but I have no way of actually knowing if that's true. Might just be a professional photographer. But very friendly woman turns over and notices what's happening. She's like, oh, you know him? Oh, wow. Like, and then she looks over and she's like, they know you. Like, do you want to like get a photo? And so it was perfect. And I was like, yeah, definitely. Can we do a freestyle? And so that's how this all came to be. Just for context.
Yeah, because you didn't know if you were like, you don't want to interrupt her job if that's what's going on. So
exactly.
The whole thing is like a lot of the high risk, high reward kind of like decision making there.
Totally. And it's funny too, because like, what is the actual risk? It's just like embarrassment. The feeling of rejection. Like, nobody will ever be hurt. So that's what's cool about this stuff is you can just sort of practice not caring about being rejected or being embarrassed. Yeah. Which is a great life skill.
You've talked about like how we have to warm up when we're shooting Guerrilla bars. Like, it's a little easier to approach people at the end because that never really goes away. And now we're just like better at kind of shoving that first ask. Yeah. But like how you're a little nervous to approach someone. We're just good at kind of just like ignoring that and get it going.
Totally.
Anyway, all right, let's get to it.
Creative word you can think of.
Exquisite.
Exquisite.
Jamaica.
Yeah. One more. Maserati. Who said that?
Hey, Daddy.
Daddy? Yeah. Exquisite.
Stank.
Jamaica. Maserati. Daddy and stank. Yeah. All right, y'all ready?
Yeah. So hype already.
Let's go.
Yo, look how few people are behind them right now, and then just keep look at how many are there at the end of this.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Turn me up.
Okay. Turn me up. Yeah. Okay. Y'all ready for prom? Yeah. Yo. Rappers be talking, but I really live it. Moves that I'm making, y'all know they deliberate. Every time that I rhyme, got the whole game straight tipping. Y'all know that my lyrics exquisite. Yeah. Y'all know my shit is too clever. When I be rapping, I'm lasting forever. Born to the beat, it be tougher than leather. I come with exquisite lyrics they can't measure. I'm making it happen. Serving my lyrics right by the ounce. Every time that I rhyme in the session, y'all know that I'm making them bounce. Oh shit, y'all know I'm lit up like reefer. Going so hard, I be breaking my speaker. Every time that I rhyme, I be lifting you higher. This shit that I'm spitting is fire.
All right, pause. Dude, crazy coincidence that I said bounce, and then I bounced, and then right when I did that, the speaker that was clipped to my backpack broke off the clip and bounced off the ground. That's insane. I didn't even realize really till this time watching it that it was right when I said bounce that happened.
That's crazy.
But yeah, also I think that we had Bose sponsorship for this video. And so I always thought that it was like dope that we showed that the speaker can slam into the ground, bounce right back into your hand with no gap in the audio, and continue working.
It's all a marketing play.
Yeah, totally accidental. But yeah, the speaker, you can't really see it on the camera, but it hit the ground, bounced up, and I caught it in my hand. And then we just kept rolling with it. So
damn, I missed the shot, man. I missed the shot.
No. I mean, how would you know?
I didn't know that happened actually until just now.
Oh yeah,
I thought you just picked it up.
Nah, it fell to the floor and bounced back into my hand. Also, this dude in the blue suit, right across from me right now, is so dialed in this whole time. That dude doesn't get enough credit because he's sort of leading the energy of the entire group, and it's amazing, man. It's amazing.
Turn that around, I be lifting you higher. This shit that I'm spitting is fire. Coming on the top, and I've never been a faker. Every time I spit, I'm precise like a laser. Shock the whole entire game like a taser. Got fans that span from DC to Jamaica. I say hardly. I'ma blow your mind with the heart free. Matter of fact, man, I got a lot of fans in Jamaica. Y'all got me feeling like Bob Marley. H-Mack off the top of the dome. Every time I'm spitting, I get locked in the zone. Y'all know I'm going in hard. I reach in your phone, steal your Pokemon cards. I'm getting too busy. When I be spitting, the heads man, they dizzy. Pop up in DC, they wonder who is he. Yeah, H-Mack shining hella bright in this. I'm tight in this. I'm always reciting this off the tip of this. The way that I be spitting the lyrics is too ridiculous. I'm making it happen crazy when rapping. I'm taking the action. He never like a lot of lyrics. I'm taking.
Yeah, hold on, rewind it. Look at dude in the blue suit through this part. It's awesome. He's like literally like a physical representation of my cadence. It's like my brain was doing what he was doing, dude. It's insane. And also, since we are stopped before we watch that, the Pokemon card is interesting because, and I've talked about this a little bit before, but freestyling is kind of like sleight of hand in that you're shifting somebody's attention away from something. You're like you're focusing everyone's attention in one direction, and then at a certain point you make a decision to switch the attention to another direction all of a sudden, and that's very surprising and satisfying. And so like what I mean is, it's one thing to only freestyle about like visible cues. Like if I didn't ask for words and I just like approached groups and I was like, shout to the guy in the blue bow tie, in this case it'd be hard because they're all wearing tuxedos, but you know, you could do it, growing like the white rose, whatever, you know, that's cool. Like that's awesome. And that can be really engaging and fun. But in this case, like it's, because I ask for the 5 words and it's mainly focused on the 5 words, it's like everyone's attention is on, oh, he's rapping the 5 words. And then all it takes is like one moment of saying like, and now I'm grabbing your Pokemon card, which is a live thing that I wouldn't have been able to plan ahead of time. And it's like, now here's this trick, you know? And everyone's like, oh, we didn't, like we were waiting for the next word. And then it's like, oh, holy shit. And it makes it so much bigger, you know? And so it's this whole like dance of there's these different sort of like, I mean, I hesitate to say trick, but it is kind of like freestyling is kind of like magic in addition to being a musical performance. It's sort of like a magic performance. So, yeah, you can sort of like play with these different worlds. And once one starts to feel a little bit stale or like it's a little predictable, they know what's going to happen. You just shift over.
Like a classic misdirection because everyone's probably just stressing for you. Like, how is he going to remember the last word?
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, I'm going to do a few things in between too.
Exactly. All right, okay, so rewind it back.
Yeah.
Let's see this dude.
Turn that around, I be lifting you higher. This shit that I'm spitting is fire. Coming on the top, and I've never been a faker. Every time I spit, I'm precise like a laser. Shock the whole entire game like a taser. Got fans that span from DC to Jamaica. I say hardly. I'ma blow your mind with the heart free. Matter of fact, man, I got a lot of fans in Jamaica. Y'all got me feeling like Bob Marley. H-Mack off the top of the dome. Every time I'm spitting, I get locked in the zone. Y'all know I'm going in hard. I reach in your phone, steal your Pokemon cards. I'm getting too busy. When I be spitting, the heads man, they dizzy. Pop up in DC, they wonder who is he. Yeah, H-Mack,
here we go. Watch this.
I'm tighten this. I'm always reciting this off the tip of this. The way that I be spitting the lyrics is too ridiculous. I'm making it happen crazy when rapping. I'm taking the action. He never like a lot of lyrics. I'm packing. Yeah, I break it down and y'all know I'm straight blazing. Dude back here like, yo, he's amazing. Blow your mind with the raw free. I can tell this the first time you saw me. H-Mack, man, we represent hip hop. These ain't anybody watching my vids on TikTok. I think you're on my level, yo, hardly. I'ma get you twisted just like the Bacardi. H-Mack, man, I got you in the rage. Don't owe for that. You under drinking age. I don't wanna call you out. I keep it real. I ain't never on the faulty route. Killing it, doing it gladly. All of these rappers be calling me daddy. Y'all know I slaughter a child. That's cause I father this style. I be the greatest. I know that they hate this. They don't even get it. I said I'm exquisite. My moves are deliberate. I'm breaking it down. Come off the top with the craziest sound. Lyrics that I kick top rank. And we get a whole lot of bank. Y'all know I told you I'm about to lead a whole track stank. Cause my lyrics too stank. Pulling off kids. We're gonna freestyle. Yo, I got this. Yeah, I'm about to make them go crazy. Oh shit, this one is for the ladies.
They were not there in the beginning.
Y'all know we stay on the grind. Lyrics that we kick off top to the vine. We got exquisite, we got Jamaica, and we got daddy, and we got stank. My flow is godly, leave the track body. I'm way too fancy, I need Maserati.
All right, pause it right there. This is interesting. So I skipped Maserati because I forgot what it was. I forgot it. So I like danced around for a while. I was like, all right, Pokemon card, amazing. Shout out to everyone that see me on TikTok. I was just like referencing things that made sense in the moment. I was like, it'll come. And then it didn't come to me. So I was like, all right, I'll skip it. And then at the end where I'm doing that list, I was literally going to be like, what's the last word I forgot? And do like my classic thing of like somebody would remind me. And then while I went through the list, it came to me and I was like, because while we were doing this clip, I was like, this is the one. Like you could just tell. I was like, this is so insane. It's like 30 dudes in tuxedos. They're so locked in. Like they're so hype. Every part of it, I was like, this is going to go crazy. And I would like to, even though it would have been fine, it was like I would like to not have forgotten any of the words, you know, for the performance. So yeah, it came like just in the last second, miraculously.
Do you do better when you like have that realization during the actual freestyle? Does that help you, or kind of make you nervous and like flustered if you're that conscious of, oh shit, this could be big?
I mean, ideally, it just like focuses me in, and I don't fixate on it. It's kind of like, I imagine it'd be like how it would feel to be like a Olympic like skier on like basically on like a cliff, like where it's just such a crazy run. Yeah. It's like while you're killing it, part of you is probably like, holy shit, I'm killing it. But you couldn't just be like, wow, I'm killing it right now. This is so great, because then you're gonna mess up and you're gonna fall. So it's like it's like a light thought, and you have to keep it like, it's fine. Like,
keep
don't
doing this.
Yeah, don't really. It's whatever. I don't know. Like, it's cool. It's going well. I think it's going well. But like, also, I don't know. Like, just keep it. You keep it at a distance, kind of.
I felt that lately with our music video shoots when we're doing the long one takes.
Yeah.
It's like when you're about 75% of the way through and it's feeling really good.
Yeah.
It's almost like the better it goes, the more nervous you kind of get while you're like progressing through it.
Yeah, exactly. It does build on itself, because you're like, well, we've gotten this far and it still feels great. So like, let's not mess it up now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Leave the track body, I'm way too fancy, I need Maserati. I got a love flinching, I be revving up my Maserati engine, and I be known for ill flowing. He's like, my God, this dude is still going. These other rappers too cute. Shot my man in the bow tie in the blue suit. Yeah, y'all know I'm rattling the speakers. Hold up, wait a minute, dude is rocking sneakers. Y'all know these rappers can't test me. Thanks for the fans, cause they bless me. Y'all know I'm ready to cardiac arrest beats. My man pulled up in the SBs. He's got the Nikes, he's rocking the dunks. Live off the top, I be bringing the funk. I got the lyrics, that shit that you want. When it comes to the rounds, I don't never get punked. Hey, man, getting busy in the spot. Y'all know we represent live and hip hop. Yo, earlier I made the sticker drop. I'ma drop these bars, drop these rhymes. I got this shit that they cannot avoid. Y'all know this whole fucking track I destroyed. Girls and the boys, make some motherfucking noise.
The boys' side is wilding out. The girls' side is like standing completely still. It's hilarious.
Much love, man.
I never noticed that.
Appreciate y'all. Hey, much love, man. Appreciate you, bro.
So sick,
Appreciate you, bro.
I was trying not to get run over at the end.
Yeah, let's
The whole
go.
group collapsed pretty quickly there.
Yeah.
Yes,
All right, hell yeah.
That's dope,
Amazing.
man. That was
Amazing.
dope.
Yeah, dude, super awesome clip, man. Very, very, very cool, and cool that it happened at the end of the whole day too. Like that's really special about that as well. Like we were ready to call it, and we were on the fence about even doing it. So it's really, really cool that it ended up working out that way and becoming such a huge clip. And that's one of those ones that so many people saw, where it's like, you know, sometimes somebody might recognize me like out in the world and they don't know my name. Like they don't know that it's Harry Mack, but they'll be like, oh, like, are you the dude that did the prom night thing? So yeah, it just became one of those sort of like signature clips, which is always really exciting. And yeah, shout out to the photographer and that kid, all of them, but that kid in the middle especially, man. That dude is star of the show, really. So super fun.
That one's kind of grown like a life of its own online, because like I was trying to find your original TikTok post to find the numbers on it, and literally I struggled to find it because of it being in so many different places reposted. It's out there, man. It's out there.
For sure. Dope. Good little trip down memory lane. So yeah, man. Y'all know what it is. Another episode of Flow State Podcast. This has been incredible. We're going to close this thing out the way we always do, with some bars. We're going to go off top. I'm going to see if I can summarize some of the things we talked about and kick it to you the way I know how. Thank you guys so much, again, for watching, listening, supporting the pod. Send me your questions, send me your freestyles, harrymackofficial.com/flowstatepod. And, please, whatever platform you're on watching this, if you enjoyed it, please leave us a review. We'd really appreciate it. And keep on tapping in, man. We got some more great content in the works for y'all. So let's send this thing home.
Let's get it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Illest off the top, no exaggeration. Working hard now, no procrastination. Utilize my mind, my imagination. This year, we focused on collaboration. Yeah, I'm entering a whole nother zone, only so far that I can take it up on my own. Yeah, I'm trying to drop records with the purity. You know I gotta face up to my own insecurity. Certainly, gotta push past my fear, so that the path in the future can seem more clear, so that I can finally arrive. Y'all know I strive to hit the most elevated vibe. I'ma thrive this year by combining forces with others to create music twice as gorgeous. 3 times, 4 times, 4 times as live. 6 times, 7 times, still got the drive. Instrumentals get 8, shoot my shot like a 9. 10 out of 10, a dime, I continue to climb. 10xing, use my brain like a tool, not a weapon. Adding other people to the session. More collaborative vibes I'm about to bring ya. Whether it be the producers or the singers, fellow rappers, fellow creators, musicians, come and listen to the shit that is major. We gon' flip it off the tip of this ridiculous flavors. H-May, stay addicted to the mission I gave you. My all, at least I thought, but still more to give. Yeah, in the instrumental I be scorching it. Yeah, stronger when we combine, and that's why I stay in alignment. Lyrically shining from the bottom I'm climbing. I remember up on the court, wasn't a fan of the sports. For me it felt forced, had to do it of course. But I learned with music I could be up in my own silo. It's just me against the man in the mirror, no rival. No opportunity to truly let the team down. It felt like a dream then, still a dream now. But must push past the zone of comfort and confront the things that I must go against. Yo, in pain I wince, but I push past it and I get stronger, so that the legacy stretches longer. Let's get it. Y'all know it's style that I brought. Peace to all the musicians who are self-taught, who be learning on their own and gaining the new views from watching the videos on YouTube, to learn how to learn on their instrument, or how to make beats and cook the shit up the symphony. Yeah, steady getting better on the daily. Yeah, put in the work and they never lazy, going crazy. You know they vibes never sloppy. And to all the new kids that's worried they might copy the influences, you know that's a necessary error. You gotta push through, so face the fear and terror. Keep it moving, getting better incrementally, expanding mentally, and then eventually your own voice emerges. You heard this? Every time he spits, it's a murder. New information off the top, I'm about to serve ya. Yeah, I'ma spit the bars that they remember. Many influential rappers in the blender within my mind that I combine. Some imagery from Nas, Lil Wayne punchlines, no flaws. Swag from Jay-Z, creativity from MF Doom. Y'all know we gon' make the speakers boom. Got the rhythm embedded from Clyde Stubblefield, Philly Joe Jones, Elvin Jones, Art Blakey. Then I put that in my poems, then I zone with the jazz hip-hop combination. When I rhyme with creations, next level we be hitting. Incorporating the rhythm from musicians when I'm spitting. All will combine, we gon' keep on pushing. Leap in the net will appear, no cushion. We ain't never stopping, we ain't never slowing down. Through the industry, the name is about to go around. Yeah, we keep on coming, we're not for the top of the brain. Whenever it comes to these beats, y'all know that I'm leaving them slain. I'm doing my thing, and I'm about to bring the remedy. How do I continue when the fans don't give me energy? Well, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems, now you know. And in this case, although I wanna push it higher and hope every freestyle session is inspired, there's moments in time where I just can't climb, where the energy they
giving me is less than prime. And in those instances, there ain't no way to act this. The fact is, in those moments, I'm grateful for practice. If I don't hit the inspo at which I'm aiming, I'ma fall to my level of training. When I rhyme, y'all know that I preach like the Reverend. We hope for it, but still professional like Bill Evans. Let's go. Hey, hey, okay. Yeah, 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 okay. Yeah, okay, listen, feel like Bill Evans when I rhyme for you. Miles Davis, leave him kinda blue. That there is a seminal classic. But what about sessions that felt more average? Well, even those weren't average, no. They were high level, they were done by pros. Professionals never disappoint. Even on their worst days, still it's the joint. Yeah, that's how it is when we perform it. If you woke me up at 4 in the morning, told me right now you have to rhyme, well, I'd find some way to pull the bricks out of my mind, continue to shine regardless of the whack scenario. Y'all know I'm leading rappers right to the burial. When I start rhyming, yo, here it goes, around and round like a merry-go. All up at the playground, stay down with the ill movement. Practice daily so my brain can be improving. Yeah, working hard cause who knows I might be dead soon. And I'm trying to build out the headroom. Yeah, gotta make sure I can continue to grow. When I'm rhyming, the whole venue will blow. I explode any room that I enter, the one they remember. What's on my agenda? Be a time and space bender and take it further. I'm here to serve it right off at the tip of this particular skill set. Ain't a beat I ain't killed yet. Yeah, when I'm rhyming, I deliver a real threat. Yeah, H Mack worth more than 100 mil. Bet I'ma take it way beyond that. I be flexing on them when I'm bringing the strong raps. Do what I do every time I make contact. Yeah, y'all know we be all up on that. Okay, off of the brain, I hear the beat and I just can't refrain. Yeah, y'all know I'm not here to play. Shouts to my man who has something to say. Asking about what is the ill success of humanity. What should we strive for in the future so we don't have to feel panicky. Yeah, I'ma let my lyrics release. He was saying that the ultimate realization is peace. Yeah, kinda hard to disagree. All my people out there, hope y'all can get with me. Peace, what we need together. Peace, just to form a bond tougher than leather. Peace, and we gotta keep it real and not fake this. Gotta find a way to counteract hatred so we can all collab. Yeah, so we don't have to feel bad. So we don't have to feel like we're so alone. So we can let other people in the zone. Bring it full circle. I want to collab on the track, but what about across the whole earth? Gotta find peace so that we can make it happen. Find the good vibes and let those disperse. So we can collaborate up on the global. Not only producers and the vocals. Not only guitar and the drum set. I'm talking humans doing shit we haven't done yet. I'm talking unifying on ways that nobody could ever really be denying. Whenever I'm rhyming, you know it's like my brain is frying. To me, the laws of gravity simply are not applying. I take them higher and higher, delivering the fire. No formal addressing needed, no sire. I'ma keep getting open, no pliers. I'ma prove to y'all I'll be the freestyle messiah. H Mack coming off the top of the brain, and you know I rock the show. Great, yeah, another classic episode all up in the vault. Thanks for tuning in to Flow State.
Yeah.
Hey,
Go.
something like that. Thank y'all so much for watching, man. You know what it is. Flow State Podcast with Harry Mack. We out. Peace.